All right. Currently, the Black Friday deal for Bank Trade Alerts is going on where you can get 50% off your first month of bank. Simply apply the coupon code Black Friday, all one word, no spaces at checkout, and you will get the discount for 50% off your first month. Bank Trade Alerts only trades the TQQQ and SQQQ, and you get all of your buy and sell alerts directly via email and text message. We are absolutely crushing this market on bank, and we would love to have you come crush the market with us. All right, so today's SPY was up 0.21%, and we did hit the next resistance right there at 451. And if we can break through 451, we'll be looking for the gap close above at 455, and then above 455, we go to the previous closing high at 458, and then the price target at 460. Now remember, this is a very vertical rally, and a rally I do not think is sustainable, so I am looking for a pullback in the very near future. And the question is whether or not we go straight to 455 and then start the pullback, or if we start to pull back immediately and go back down to this demand zone between 440 and 436. Now remember, we don't have to hold support here. It's very possible we continue lower towards 430 and possibly even lower than that. However, if we just look at this chart objectively, we see we do have the bull trend back, so we are looking for the opportunity to buy at support or buy at a higher low after we see price action holding a higher low and starting to pivot. So it does look like this may have just been a correction within a bull market, and we're going right back into the bull market that could take us to the previous all-time highs. But never rule out the possibility this is a bear market relief rally and we still start that next leg lower, which would mean when we start to pull back, we get very impulsive selling and we don't find support at any of these levels and we just continue to crash down. Again, this is not the primary scenario that I think is likely. It's more likely this was a correction within a bull market. But please do not rule out this possibility. This is exactly what happened last year in March 2022 when we had a very vertical rally, and it all turned out to be a bear market relief rally before we continued into the bear market. So do not rule it out completely. Make sure you're aware of it and make sure you're prepared for it in the event we start to see price action slicing through support levels. So in the short term, we need to break 451 to continue higher. And then if we don't break 451 and we start to pull back, look for support at the gap fill at 441, support levels at 440, 436, and 430. On the NASDAQ 100 triple Qs, we were up 0.08% today, so we went absolutely nowhere, and we did not break above the previous July high right above 388, so we are still in the possibility of this being a lower high rejection, and we have plenty of gaps to fill to the downside. If we break above 388, the next price target will be up there at 393, and if we continue lower, we're looking for possible support at 383, the gap fill at 378, and then the support zone at 370. 370 is critical because that's the retest of the breakout, and if we can't hold 370, we're likely going to fill the gap at 363. In the Dow Jones, we were up 0.53% today, and I told you the Dow Jones could push straight to 350 before we get our higher low pullback, and so far you can see that is playing out. So from 350, I think there's elevated risk of starting a pullback, and that pullback would likely take us down towards this gap fill at 344 or this support zone at 341, and if we can't hold that, look for the gap fill at 338. If we just continue higher in this vertical rally without a pullback above 350, we're looking for resistance at 353 and 356. On the Russell 2000 IWM ETF, we were up 0.17% today, but intraday we hit all the way up there at the negatively sloping 200 daily moving average, and we hit the price target of the arrow I drew that told us we would likely go fill the gap at 180. So we can now delete that gap and we can now delete that arrow because that is fully played out. And now that we're at the negative 200 daily moving average and rejected outside the upper Bollinger Band, I think we're at elevated risk of a pullback to at least retest the breakout, which could take us back down towards 176 to 174. If we just come back down to 174 and bounce and continue higher, then we're likely in a bull trend and the small caps are breaking out and breaking the bear trend. If we just slice right down through 174, then we're likely coming down towards gap fills at 170 and 165, and this was likely just a bull trap false breakout. Be prepared for either of those scenarios, and those are the critical levels, and pay attention to whether or not we hold support. On the ARKK ETF, we were up 2.53% today as we hit the next resistance level higher at 43.2, and if we continue higher, we're looking for 44.5 next. This does look like a higher low, higher high breakout as long as we're trading above 41, so stay bullish above 41, and if we can't hold above 41, look for the gap fills at 40 and 38. On the VIX, we were up 0.14% today, so we went absolutely nowhere. And in the event we start a pullback, I think it's possible the VIX does spike up towards 18. And as long as we stay below 18, it could be a normal pullback within a bull trend before we continue higher. If at any point the VIX spikes out above 20, then we're more than likely getting a bear market scenario. On Bitcoin, we're currently up nearly 6%, and Bitcoin is trying to break above this resistance at 37,000 after a higher low pullback and retest of support at 35,000, which means we could be heading higher towards the next price target at 40,000. If this ends up being a double top rejection, look for a rejection from the previous resistance just above 37,000, and then we would need a break of the neckline at the support at 35,000, and that should be enough to take us down to 32,000. But this is still a bull trend, and we're bouncing off support and breaking resistance, so it's more than likely that we're going higher. On Tesla stock, we were up 2.29% today, and I told you if Tesla broke above 230, we would likely fill the gap at 242, and that is exactly what we did today, and we tried to push out higher above resistance at 244, but we're just too far outside the upper Bollinger Band. When we get this far extended and at resistance, it's more than likely we're going to pull back, and a pullback at this point would take us back down towards 230 or the gap fill at 225. As long as we can stay above this breakout at 222, it's possible we're heading higher towards the 250s, so you can stay bullish above 230 or 222 depending on your risk management, but if you're a short-term trader, you should be locking profits now that we're getting overextended at resistance. On Apple stock, we were up 0.3% today as Apple is getting very close to the next price target, which is this gap fill and resistance zone right around 190. We also have a gap down here at 186, and we have no higher low pullback, so it's possible at any point we start to pull back from any of these resistance levels. So look for that resistance at 190 and the gap fill just below 191, and if we start to pull back, we're looking for support between 185 and 186, and if we break below that, we have support at 180 to 182. So jumping back over the S&P 500, there is no doubt this is a very vertical rally with a lot of unfilled gaps below, so at any point we could start a pullback that could take us significantly lower. During that pullback, we need to see if we can make a higher low or if we just continue to crash down through support, and that will tell us whether this is a bull market or a bear market relief rally before we go to much lower prices. We'll let the price action do all the talking. There's no reason to speculate, and right now this is a bull trend until it's not, until we start seeing evidence that we can't hold support during the pullback, which we have no idea when it's going to come, but it could be very close. Don't forget to take advantage of the Bank Black Friday sale where you can get 50% off your first month, and we are absolutely crushing this market on Bank Trade Alerts, so now is a great time to come check it out. I also have the Stocks Channel Trading Discord community where you get access to all of my intraday updates and analysis. You can find out how to join either service by clicking on the links below. So thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you're crushing this market, and as always, I will see you in the next episode.